Good morning. Today we're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin, XRP, and the dominances. All right, so here we are, Bitcoin. We've got basically a 5-wave move down, an ABC up for wave B, and now we have the potential for this wave C to be in play here. So now what's interesting is we got a lot of confluence. There's a lot here on here. So we had a rising wedge that we were working with the final fifth that came in here at the top. Now we have an ABC correction to the downside that may or may not be finished. Normally, your measured move to the downside finishes with an ABC leg down to the 1. That would take us here, kind of through the weekend. So we can definitely see that price action playing out through Saturday as it continues to fade, coming down to 106. And per X-Force's awesomeness, he did a really just great observation that if you end up having a WXY correction, you can end up having this as a larger move, like something along these lines, and get yourself a bigger correction for the going into this WXY pattern, right? So we could do something like that. So just something to keep in mind. So when we see the price action turn around, just be cognizant of the fact that if it does start rolling over or it's chopping on its way up, that could be a corrective move to the upside. So that's what we have kind of going on for Bitcoin right now. Curious to see that this particular level was the initial all-time high back here. Then we have the prior all-time high that came into play. And very intriguingly, we have perfectly hit, we have two confluences here. The 786 on the measured move and that all-time high are literally over each other. I mean, the fact that those two fibs align with those two highs is pretty impressive. And that's, again, this trend-based fib moving through this measurement right here for wave A and B. So we'll see if that was enough. It may be. And if it was, and so we start looking then now to dominances. So let's jump over to XRP and see what it's doing, right? So XRP, we've been working through this triangle. We were expecting it to move to the upside of the range and then come back down again, but we instead have done this chop right here. So that was my ultimate issue, is that what led to this breakdown and this kind of pullback on the price action and thinking we had a continuation was the anticipation that this was a 1, 2, 3, 4, and we were going to see a fifth wave come into play here, then our corrective wave down, and then continue with the next portion of the leg to the top of the range. Well, we did not get that, obviously. We end up having a standard ABC, so now the count is a little more different. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down for an A leg, B leg for an ABC, and now we're actually completing another C leg, and we may actually be done with this entire move, which would mean that this was a larger wave 2 correction that we ended up happening rather than a wave 1 to just an ABC move. So this actually may be ultimately more bullish for what we're looking at here in this price action. Now I do expect the price action to move back up one more time into this range area here, and then roll over and set one more low probably towards the end of the day. So that's just kind of how I'm looking at the setup that we have currently. Now, in addition to this, we also have our dominances. So the dominances right now are giving us a breakdown where we have, or I should say, a potential hold happening here on the Bitcoin dominance, where we were expecting a ABC correction. But now the question is, are we going to have a WXY correction to come back down into this move for an equal move for XRP's dominance for the overall market? Right now, we do technically have a wave 1 and a wave 2, so we may actually be building a bullish structure. And so this has still been a question that we've been running this whole time. Now, over on the XRP Bitcoin dominance, we have a very clear 5 waves to the downside, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can move back up to this wedge with this B, and then we may end up rejecting one more time, closing this gap right here for a C, finishing out our E leg for the triangle that we've been playing on, watching here as it's kind of finishing up. And this too, if we end up having a time perspective of how long that could take, could be wrapping up right here over the weekend. So then XRP starts to outperform Bitcoin. So now, ultimately, and when we finish everything up, looking at Sigma, we did fall a little bit to a 1.7 million market cap here, okay? But with that fall, we're actually still holding fairly well. So you have only a 3% fall on the day, some demand coming in here at this point, and a completion of a potential ABC with a 535 wrapping up. And obviously, we still know that there's this gap right here, so we may end up doing a WXY correction, which is more complex. But as far as what we're tracking with our price action, this would put us right here in this area for the Cardano move, right? Where we would end up coming down, holding this level, and then marching, continuing out here. And if that was the bottom, and we just did it, then this would check because we would have this kind of level here. RSIs on the 4-hour completely reset, and our 3-day is still showing us that we are moving into bullish territory with our Stotch being at 12 and our RSI being above 40. So definitely a really good look overall for Sigma, and it's telling us that the market is still solid despite today's price action pulling us down on XRP to the lows. So that's basically what I'm watching here on the charts today. I think this move is just about finished. We might have one more low. If not, then that was it. And but just based off the structure itself of a 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for wave 3, then we'd have a 4 back up into the supply, and then a breakdown for 5 for one more lower low, holding and maintaining our do not cross line of 2.7815 is where we cannot cross. Otherwise, our larger overall view has become a move out of this potential triangle that we were playing, and we are now potentially going to go down lower to complete that ABC down into that 250 range. So, all right, that's how I'm checking it, but that's our do not go lower zone is 278.15. And if we do, we invalidate. But so far, the dominance says we'll probably be okay here on Bitcoin, and even the XRP dominance overall is holding pretty well and hasn't yet broken down with the potential for it to go lower. So looking into here, you can just kind of see that we maybe have a start of a 5 waves, so this might be the beginning of that breakdown. So we'll just continue to monitor this, but so far so good. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk soon.